Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. We're delighted you're here. And we are broadcasting 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. If you'd like to take us with you as you travel or listen while you work, there's a telephone listen line. 605-477-3249. Repeat, 605-477-3249. There's a link to your instructors on the website, usaprepares.com, usaprepares.com. And with us today, engineering, side by side, Kyle at GCN. Doc Ram's with us. Doc Ram on the West Coast. Welcome, Doc Ram.
Maybe, and maybe not. Remember the big bird that went burp when he ate the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am looking for something, and I'm going to get it shortly.
Good for you.
No.
Good for you.
Yeah, watch what that may not be good for me, but I can guarantee you everybody will remember this statement. It stops now, and I've got a few names already. It's been a long year, Vincent. That's the laugh. That one, as I go click. Yeah, clip in. Listen, yeah. I've had enough, and I was chosen because I am the pit bull. Once I know what's really going on, there's nothing that'll stop me. I'm pissed. I am so good.
Rick, really be careful what you say. Rick, be careful how you say whatever it is you're going to say, because the FCC has got its big ears on it.
Every way, every day, they're looking. They've got computers filtering through me. We'll talk about Google. Yes, all of it. And they mess with the wrong person. And the problem is I'm the most innocent man there is. I need protection because I'm pure in that one area. I'm just like, I don't look at anything like suspiciously. Now, I'm looking at shadows everywhere, and I don't know who my friends are. That's crazy.
Well, actually, you do know who some of your friends are. That is for sure.
And I will. But they're all assumed truth because at the end of the day, you know, there was a 2-star general, and I had to survive. And I've had enough. This, you know, it's a long... It's a bad day at Black Rock. Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah. Hey,
there
Rick,
will be blood.
And when you say that, I assume you mean figuratively. And you know, Rick, I'm holding it.
I'm a literal person. I'm not figurative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I said that too. Yeah. And if I get to know precisely, I will not stop until it's. I'm like the guy that's trying to make things right. You don't ignore this kind of thing. You can't. If they're doing it to me, I got called by Mike Harris. Mike hangs out and is the bodyguard for Gordon Duff. You know, really. And he told me that, you know, he's being bushwhacked. Why? Well, he's pretty straightforward. You know, I'm like, martial arts and all that, but I'm just an old man. Somebody's afraid.
So, Rick, there. Let's just be very candid with our broadcast classroom, the largest preparedness broadcast classroom.
I know, and it's about time everybody understands. I have been a targeted individual, not microwave. I'll be talking about that tonight on Gary Cassidy's show. But you know, I have some friends that just think I got a call and give them some names, and guess what? I know some of them. And then I got this thing from China this morning. Somebody's trying to hack my sites. Oh, yes, they are. Why? After they did Amazon. The Amazon was a setup. It wasn't arbitrary.
Amazon is now charging sales tax in various states. And the question is, how are they able to do that if they do not have a physical presence? And from what I've read, they cannot charge sales tax unless they have a physical presence in the state. So, for example, if you buy something from Amazon and they're not in the state of Missouri, they cannot charge you sales tax. But evidently they're doing that. So I don't know exactly what they're doing, or maybe they put up some little office somewhere. Maybe the state of Missouri said, "I'll tell you what, we got this back room, and we'll let you put a telephone in there, and once in a while you can have someone come visit it just to make sure that lights are off, and then you can start charging sales tax, and we'll give you a percentage of the stolen
You don't need to do that. You can do like they do down in Mexico and charge an excise tax at every street corner with a pistol.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, what is the difference? What is the difference between...
Now we're back in the same metaphor. It's crazy.
All right, Rick,
deniability? Oh, yeah, we create space. It's their fault. Create space. Oh, we're just sprinters. And the finger gets pointed back and forth and up and down. I'm going to be the guy that says, you want to see one? Here, I'll show you one. And in comes David Bowie. There's a little China doll. I'll have set and setting. Oh, yeah, that's what... No, I was going to do Crowley. Timothy Leary would call it. We're going to show everybody what real magic is about. It's going to get scary. And I've had enough. I am losing my friends left and right because I am so stressed out. Nobody wants to be around me.
Rick, you're stressed out because you're being hacked? You're stressed out because your site is being hacked? You're stressed out because your sales are down?
Oh, you mean my bathroom has got a wire?
Well, Amazon, we mentioned Amazon. They have a delightful piece of technology now, and you can get this mirror, and you can hang it in your bedroom or you can hang it in your bathroom, and it will help you get dressed. It will also forward information about you to them. So, looking nice today, Lila. Mary, you look beautiful today. Why don't you change that outfit and let's see what else you have. This is sickness. This is absolute sickness. And in concert with
a new car. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
Detroit.
And
got moved to China and Mexico. Yeah.
In concert with this sickness is the approval and endorsement and cooperation and support by and of government thugs.
You mean
I have
Obama's
a letter,
gay and he married a male?
Well, it just came out. Obama's in his past was a light loafered guy, and that he has had relations. And so we hire him to be the CEO of our corporation, Corporate US, and he's an absolute sham fraud. He's been hoodwinking us, and then he makes over $70 a second. I did the calculation. I believe it's $74 a second when he goes out and speaks at $400,000.
Yeah. But that bully never saw the baseball bat hit coming around the third base when he turned his back on me. I was expelled the first day of high school. And let me say this, I had to grow up on the Philippines on the streets. I learned how to play chess and a couple of other things. And let me say, being Caucasian in 1948 in the Philippines is not the coolest at 4 years old. So I learned my lessons well.
Rick, there are attacks going on by our government. And I'm talking about county governments, little towns, little cities, states, as well as the feds. They have independently learned and cooperated, and they go to these junkets and these meetings where they study and share on how to how to oppress the villagers. And there's an oppression going on in our little hamlet. I live in and I've said this many times, I live actually outside of the town of 100 people, okay? There are 100 post office boxes. If you come to our little town, you want to get a post office box, and you go to the the one parking space post office where we live, and you say, I'd like to get a post office box, and you have a number that would be something I could remember. They'll take you behind the door, and they'll show you half of them are empty. So there are 100 spaces, and you can have any one of half of them because they're available. Pick a number, right. And that's how few people live here, okay? There's one parking space, and it's available all the time. All the time. Anyway, in our little hamlet of 100 people, we are being systematically targeted by the state of Missouri for unpaid sales tax. And this is the third year of attack on the Finelli family. Now, they attacked us for 2012 and 2013, and we believe we put that to bed. They demanded that we appear at a hearing, and we let them know in no uncertain terms there are no taxes due. Prove your case or back off. And we gave them time limits, and they cannot prove their case because there is no case. Now, here's the problem.
Do you know that the current police here are using lights on their vehicle that are harmful to your eyes? They're in the Indium series, and they did that just like a bull or a hog will pull someone over, but he will leave his car still out on the street, so he is taking up a driving lane during rush hour.
Yes, and the lights are absolutely blinding.
Styles.
Yep, and the lights are blinding, and you can't avoid being blinded by these lights. You can't, and that's why they do it.
They're harmful.
Well, you can't see, Rick, because it's the brightest thing around, and you try to look elsewhere, and you can't because the light is overpowering. That's what I'm talking about. Rick Miller and I will be right back, and I'm going to share with you what's going on with the Finellis. So, class, Doc Ram's with us, and I'm going to read you a letter. It's going to take me about 2 minutes to read this letter. And I'd like you to pay very strict attention to what I'm saying. This is serious. Our farm has been attacked, and the state of Missouri is threatening us with terroristic threats. Not just us, others. And here's the letter. It's dated May 2nd. To Stephen Sullivan, the Missouri Department of Revenue, Post Office Box 475, Jefferson City, Missouri, 65105. He is senior legal counsel for the state of Missouri. It's from me, and it's with our sales tax ID, well, USA Prepares Sales Tax ID, and the notice number. And it says, today, May 2nd, 2017, I received this notice, and then the number's there. For demand of alleged unpaid sales and use tax and terroristic threats of liens placed on my property. I take this threat seriously. All Missouri state sales and income and federal taxes have been filed and paid on time and in full. As we discussed in person, this is an example of incompetence within the Missouri Department of Revenue. The Missouri sales tax return for period October 1 through December 31, 2016 was submitted twice. Once by standard mail on January 10, 2017, and again on March 25, 2017 by fax. I know DOR received my original submission because I received a phone call informing me that it was received, but not on a DOR standard form. And that a new computer system was in place and my form would have to be resubmitted on your sales tax non-filer notice form, which was faxed on March 25th, 2017 at 4:17 p.m. Central Time atomic clock. I complied with this request. No sales tax was due for that period and all sales were out of state. Please provide, and this is where I get very specific with these guys, please provide the statute requiring that all filing be on a specific state of Missouri numbered form. Please specify each and every sale that the Department of Revenue alleges have been made with the amounts and the customer and the date and the address which total the alleged sales tax due. Additionally, please provide the statute and the algorithm that comprises the alleged penalty and interest. So that there is no misunderstanding, I require that all communications with the Department of Revenue be in writing. Should I not receive correspondence from you within 14 days, May 17th, 2017, this matter is deemed resolved as originally filed. This letter and its copies are formal requests to investigate DOR abuses and practices. Thank you, Vincent Finelli, CEO, USAPrepares.com. Copy, Governor Eric Greitens, Jefferson City. Hannah Kelly, Missouri House of Representatives.
Yeah, his boss.
And Gilbert Balin, Editor-in-Chief, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. This is just the beginning of my response. I'm going to communicate this with the media. I'm going to demand a full investigation of the abuses and the terroristic threats of the Department of Revenue. I am going to demand that from the top to the bottom, everyone in the Department of Revenue be fired summarily for their incompetence and their abuse of power. What is happening is the people, and you can say the little people, the secretaries, the little people, the people above that, they're all involved in this. Why? Because they go to work and they're afraid of losing their meaningless jobs. They're in the way. They're harmful to productivity. Okay? These little people are not speaking up against the abuses. These people, all of them in the Department of Revenue, they just go along to get along. They all need to be fired. Every single one of them. So, from now on, the plan is when you get these letters, you respond with a request for more information. And that request is, who are you? Who are you? What is your title? How much do you make? What is your work location? What is your phone number? Are you provided with a cell phone at taxpayer expense? What is your boss's name? What are you going to do with the information? How will it be used? How will it be communicated? Where will it be housed? And for how long? How will you use this information against me should I decide to provide it? It's a civil servant questionnaire. Look it up on the internet and have them ready, and then start sending them out. And if all of us start sending these things out, when they demand money from us without specifying why, we can tie them up in the paperwork that they're trying to tie us up with. Don't pay it. If you don't owe it, don't pay it. We'll be right back. So, class, when the Finelli family is attacked, the head of the household does what any head of the household would do, and that is protect and defend the family. So when the state of Missouri is coming after us and demanding revenue that they don't deserve, and they say that we owe them monies that we do not owe them, and they say, pay this amount or we'll put liens on your farm, we respond vigorously. We will defend to the end. We will not submit to this terrorism, this state-sponsored terrorism. So here's what they do. They are sending letters. They've got this fancy computer system that we paid for, and they are sending letters to people with amounts of money on multiple sheets of paper. We got a thick one. Other people got them too. We know, we've done the research. We know that these letters have been sent out. And it's not like we've heard about it. We have had our eyes on the letters. We know that there's state-sponsored terrorism going on, and demands are being made for payment of alleged unpaid sales tax. And if you don't pay the amount that they tell you, they will put a lien on your property. Now, that's theft. I'm not willing to submit to that. So what we're going to do is we are getting people who have had these letters get together, and we're going to get together in force.
Class action.
And we are going to let the media know that this is going on, and we're going to name the names of these people who have these mindless followers who work for the government, these mindless followers who say, I just need my job. I have to pay my bills. And if it means looking the other way, and if it means just sending out these letters, that I'm just going to do it. You know, people who work for the government are taught do not think, absolutely do not think, don't speak up, because if you do, you can lose your wonderful job. And you look at the benefits that these government employees have. They have more holidays than anybody else. They leave work on time. They get to work maybe on time. They have plenty of coffee breaks, and they're the ones who complain about how overworked they are. They're not overworked. We are paying for their daycare. That's what we are doing. These are people who couldn't get a real job if they had to. They couldn't. When I went to the Department of Revenue with Mrs. Finelli the first time to meet with Senior Legal Counsel Stephen Sullivan, there was nobody there. The waiting room was entirely empty. Nobody wants to go to these dimly lit government buildings. Nobody. Well, we were there, and the receptionist, the secretary, what's she doing? She's on her cell phone. What's she doing on her cell phone? There's no reason for people to be on their cell phone when they're at work. Unless they have a job and they take calls and they're in sales or something like that. And I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about real jobs. People who are actually taking calls for sales on their cell phone. I can almost understand that. But I cannot understand government employees being on their cell phones. I can't understand them texting, tweeting. I can't understand that. I can't understand them surfing the internet and looking at the home shopping network. I can't understand that on government time that we're paying for. It's an outrage. And I believe that we could get rid of 90% of these government employees and still have them do whatever would be necessary for them to do. Jack in Missouri, welcome.
Hello, Vincent. Hello, Doc. How you doing there?
I'm a little angry, Jack.
A little. I don't know if this will make you feel better or not, Vincent, but the state of Missouri has been at this a long, long time.
Yeah.
Back in 1981, I owned a small bar in a small town, and the liquor control sent undercover people in. They did everything they could do to try to catch me doing something wrong, which they couldn't because I wasn't doing anything wrong. And finally, the head liquor control agent for 8 counties come in one night and want to talk to me outside. And basically what he said was, paying me $100 a week and you can do anything you want in this bar. Well, I seen the writing on, I seen the writing on the wall. Guy had been wanting to buy this business, and I sold it to him. And I moved back to Texas for 12 years. I came back from Texas in like 1990. Well, last year, I got a letter from the Revenue Department of the state of Missouri saying I owed $400 sales tax when I sold that bar that I didn't know that I owed. The interest on it has occurred since 1981 was $36,000. Well, I'm a disabled veteran and draw Social Security disability, but my wife works. So we have to file jointly on income tax if you make over a certain amount of money. They have took her state tax return for 2 years now. I didn't even know my current wife, when I had this business. So she sent for a form for an injured spouse to at least get half of it. And it was a 10-page document. They wanted to know everything about her. And she looked at it and started filling out. She said, you know what? I'm not even going to mess with it, and tore it up and threw it away.
Good for her.
So it's not just now happening. It's been happening for years in the state of Missouri.
Well,
Jack,
you got to see what they do here in Josephine County. Josephine County used to be the highest scholastic aptitude in the state of Oregon, and now we're the lowest, with less than 73% graduating from high school. That's an embarrassment when you realize that the local high school has got 4,600 students. It's crazy.
Yeah. Jack,
yes.
Before we end this conversation, not that I want to end it right now, but I'd like to get your phone number. I was just looking at my Rolodex, and I want to make sure I have your number, and I'd like to call you maybe this evening, and talk about this because these are terroristic threats. These are dangerous threats. These are the kinds of things that cause people to have indigestion, irritable bowel syndrome, lose sleep, lose their jobs, commit suicide. This is that state-sponsored terrorism that I'm talking about. It's over the top and it's out of control, and it will stop. And it will stop. And I'm calling for this investigation right now, right here on the air. I read the letter to the governor and to the senior legal counsel and to the St. Louis newspaper that the editor-in-chief of the St. Louis
responds. That's interesting.
Well, yeah. I want to know what he's going to do about it, and I want them to disband the Department of Revenue. If they want to rebuild it at 10% of its current size, that would be fine. However, they need to fire everybody, starting with the top, going all the way to the bottom, because every single one of them is part of this. It's a culture of state-sponsored terrorism. And you know what? Let me say one other thing. Tomorrow we're going to do a special broadcast on tactics. How do you deal with this kind of stuff? How do you deal with these threats? Because they're talking about assets. Now, what are the assets? Now, if you're clever, class, if you have a wonderful family, you can put assets in many names. So, for example, let's say you have a bank account, and you put that bank account in your name and your wife's name and your children's name. Now, all of you own all of it. That means it is hands off. And if you're also clever and you have a document that says all of your assets are in a trust, now it's hands off all of that as well. That's double protected. However, who's to prevent these thugs from just saying, we don't care, we're going to take it anyway? Well, maybe we made a mistake and we seized all your assets and you can't pay your mortgage and your car payment and your taxes and you lose everything because, well, we made a mistake. And does the state ever say they're sorry? No. Stephen Sullivan, the Missouri senior counsel, has never apologized for me for the terrorism that they've applied to our family. Never apologized. And I sent him a letter demanding an apology. So here we go. The state thinks that we are their toys, that we are to serve them, that we are to work and toil and scrimp and save and do everything possible to fund them. It will stop. It needs to stop. And Donald Trump was right, except he was wrong on the percentage. Firing government employees is a good start, but not 50%. 75% is a good start. That's a good start. Yeah. So, Jack, make sure I have your number. And, Jack, so they are still coming after you from 1980.
Yeah. Every year they take our state income tax return.
You must have pissed someone off really bad.
Well, I wouldn't play their game.
Jack,
it just boiled down to money.
Jack, let me share a story with you. There are people who do automobile inspections, and you can have an independent shop. Like, let's say you have a service station, the old-fashioned service station. We got some of them around here, but no gas pumps. You can go in and have your tires patched. You can have a tune-up. You can have your car worked on, and it will say state license inspection. And you can have your vehicle inspected, and they'll look at, jack it up and look at the brakes, and they'll look under the front suspension. They'll look at the windshield, make sure the windshield wipers work, the lights work, your seatbelts are there. Make sure your car is, according to the state guidelines, roadworthy and safe. And then those items get checked off, and then the owner of the business that's licensed will sign off on that. And you take that official state document to your Division of Revenue, where they extort money from you to put tags or renew tags or whatever is done so that you can be complying with their code and statutes. They send spies out. And they try to entrap and trick the owners and the mechanics of these stations into overlooking just one little thing. Didn't do the windshield wipers. and then they shut down those businesses. The state of Missouri is employing devious, deceptive entrapment techniques to shut down businesses. Class, I take exception to threats. Threats to Dr. Richard Allen Miller, threats to USA Prepares instructors, threats to my family. And I come out strong when these kinds of things happen. And the plan is very simple. We will expose these minions. We will name their names. We will even build websites dedicated to their memories. So get ready, state. When you attack people in an unprovoked, unfounded method, expect a resistance. Expect a response. Now, we're not talking about blood, literally. But what we are talking about is you will get the credit that you all deserve. You will. You will be tried in the court of public opinion because your court is biased against us. We have no choice, no chance in your court. So we have to use our court, which is the court of public opinion, and we will. Rick,
yeah,
you've got
the problem you have, though, is you have Agenda 21, which will bring a neutral third party that doesn't care for you or about you or your county or the law. And that's the profile that's now happening with our police force. And, the chemtrail. You got to see what just came out about chemtrails and who's doing it and why. It's a new weapon. It's a new weapon because we are about to, go figure, have a war with North Korea that will involve heavy tactical nukes. And that is a defense shield. Believe me, I have a picture of two chemtrails arcing between each other. Oh, man. And they haven't even told the public at all about it. It's just because the people that are flying those aircraft have been heavily screened for being sociopaths. They don't care. They're just doing their job.
That's exactly what I've been talking about, Rick. Even the secretaries that type these things for the administrator of these agencies, they'll type these things and say, boy, I guess my boss knows what he's doing.
Robinson get it? God's got a special place in heaven for you. Let me say this, man, and you're going to enjoy every minute of it. Tattoo artists and all.
Rick, I believe these government employees are deficient. I believe they are defective. I really do. I believe that if they weren't, maybe they can fix it. Maybe they can have a meeting with themselves and say, you know what, I've been really bad. Maybe they can go to the equivalent of a Catholic confession and confess their sins against humanity. Maybe
Whatever
they can come
to Mr.
clean.
Smith when he went to Washington.
Tell us about it.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
What happened?
It happened while we were sleeping, dreaming the American dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're thinking that, Barney Frank is an okay. He's a sycophant.
Watch what we've got next.
We have people who we're paying to represent our interests who are stealing from us. These are the unconvicted criminals. These guys have the Capitol Police working for them so they can commit crimes, they can drive drunk, they can do whatever they want, rape, pillage, plunder, steal, do whatever they want and get away with it. And yet they have, in the state of Missouri, they've got these spies going around just trying to entrap. And I've got the business card of the chief of police of the Caruthersville Police Department. His name is Tony L. Jones, chief of police. He was so proud of his new police car, his police SUV, and he said it's the Ghost Edition. It's really hard to see that it says police on it. You got to look at it at the right angle with the right light so that it'll reflect, so you can see it's a police car. The police are now renting vehicles from companies so that they don't look like police cars. And they're riding around in plain clothes, and they're looking for people who are distracted when they're driving. And I agree that distracted driving is dangerous, but they've got spies. Our government has turned into a bunch of spy minions. Everywhere you look, you don't know who's who. It's an outrage. When we come back, Rick, let's talk about how we can concentrate mentally, how we can focus our attention carefully and with a laser pinpoint accuracy in what we're trying to accomplish. Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with DocRam.com. Everyone all set, cocked, locked, furious about the abuses of government? Here we are at USAPrepares.com, hour number 2. I'm Vincent Finelli. With us is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. I want to thank our broadcast classroom, and I want to thank Genesis and Republic Broadcasting and all of our affiliates who carry this broadcast nationally and globally. Right now, just so the state of Missouri understands, right now, I'm looking at GCNlive.com. We are number 2. We are number 2 talking about the abuses and the terroristic threats by the state of Missouri on Genesis Communications Network, one of the, well, actually the largest alternative radio network in the world. Also, on TalkStream Live, we are number 20 at this very moment. Of all the broadcasts going on simultaneously, we are number 20 out of all of the broadcasts that are tracked. So are we being paid attention to? I'm not doing this for braggadocious reasons. I am doing this to let the state of Missouri know that there are people listening. And also, then later on, there's YouTube and the rebroadcast and the telephone listen line. So there are people paying attention to the terroristic threats that are being leveled at we, the villagers, here in Missouri. And tomorrow, we're going to talk about exactly how you respond, how we're going to respond, how we are and have been responding to these terroristic threats that have been leveled at us, the attack on us by the state of Missouri. Missouri's not a very friendly place right now. It's not because of our friends and neighbors. It's because of the government. Now, either the government needs to clean up its own act, or I think the people will explain in their own way what their displeasures are with the abuses of power. Dave in the Thumb, welcome. You're on with Dr. Richard Allen Miller and me, Vin Finelli.
Good morning, Vincent. Good morning, Rick. How you guys doing?
We're hot.
Yeah, that's me.
Listen, Vincent, I understand. I heard you read your letter. I haven't been able to get on live. I got a 4-year-old grandson here that I watch all the time. He's kind of wild, so he takes up a lot of my time. But quickly, Vince, you remember Hartford Van Dyke, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I know you remember him. You interviewed him a couple times.
Yes.
If you go to the numeral 4-cd.com, that's the numeral 4-cd.com, that's a shortcut to fourcornersdoctrine.wordpress.com. Hartford Van Dyke created a criminal, it's a ticket. It's to file criminal charges federally, okay, against government abuses, against CPS, against all kinds of, nasty government agencies and whatnot. So all Hartford stuff is up there on 4-cd.com. This criminal complaint form, it's like a traffic ticket. You just check off boxes. Okay, you and all your other folks there in Missouri that are being terrorized by this criminal syndicate called the Missouri State Government, the corporation, you file criminal charges on them. You fill out this form. You file in federal court. It's free, okay? And they have a certain amount of time. They have to respond to this, and they never respond, okay, because it admits guilt. And when they don't respond, it admits guilt. And then this criminal complaint form turns into a commercial obligation, a lien, if you may, and there's $10,000 legally. I think Title 18, Section, blah blah blah, in the U.S. Code, U.S. Court. They've made it legal for we the people to do this, and Hartford has made it so simple. So when you file these criminal charges, they won't respond, and then it admits guilt, and if they respond, it admits guilt, and then it turns into a lien within 90 days, and then you got this. Now they've liened you, you lien them. Check that out.
I am at I'm at Four Corners. I'm at fourcornersdoctrine.wordpress.com. Now, I tried to get to the website that you mentioned. I cannot get there. One more time, please, Dave and the Thumb.
It's the
How do we get there?
4, okay?
Yep.
Dash CD. That you are there, Vincent. You're there. That 4-CD is just a shortcut to that fourcornersdoctrine.wordpress.
Okay.
And there's a Hartford Van Dyke section. His books are there for free downloads, but all of his work, everything Hartford's done, is there. You might want to interview him again about this situation and how his criminal complaint form works. I'm legally blind, so I really haven't seen it. I hear him talk about it all the time, and many people have used it, and they've had success with it. So usually when you file these complaint forms, these people go running for the hills because now you're implicating them personally. Each person involved in that revenue office, you could even go all the way down from the governor, everyone involved in the whole state. These people are a bunch of criminals.
Fifth estate. That's what it's called.
The deep state.
Yeah, the one that involves you and me personally, the Fifth Estate.
Yes, the Fifth Estate. There you go.
That's it. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
We the people.
Okay, I've got the contact information. I will contact Hartford again and see if we can get him on the air and expose these criminals and how to deal with them and the tactics that are necessary. And I'd like to share with the class that don't go by opinions. Don't say I think, and don't run. I talked to a gentleman last night, and he said he gets when he gets documents in the mail, he just ignores them. You can't ignore them. And here's what the new approach should be. Get it done right now. For example, let me just give you a very simple example. So we go to Sam's Club and we want to buy some chopped meat, and we buy several large packages of 5-10 pounds of chopped meat, and we want to make it into hamburgers. Well, put it in the refrigerator because everybody's tired from the long trip, and we'll do it tomorrow and maybe the next day. No, you do it right now. You get home and you do it, you bang it out and you get it done. So when you get these documents, don't ignore them. Don't leave them on the kitchen table and look at them and leave them unopened. You open them and you respond immediately. Short sentences. And my strategy is one sentence per paragraph. So I make one point. For example, it says here, today I received this letter. Here's the document number. Next paragraph. All Missouri state sales, income, and federal taxes have been filed and paid on time and in full. Next paragraph. Very simple to read. I don't make it hard to read. I make it very, very simple so that these thugs understand I'm not kidding. Short, sweet, to the point, and hammer the point home. That's the strategy that I use. But I will contact Hartford Van Dyke. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to putting an end to the misery, the state-sponsored terroristic misery that's been unleashed on us. It's out of control. And when I got to tell you, class, when you think about government employees, do you think about them with, that guy's such a wonderful person, or do you think about, I don't want him to come to my house because he's a spy. He's with the enemy. He wants to steal everything he can, and he's going to inform on me. He's going to tell all his friends whatever he's able to glean. I don't want him even to come over for coffee. Isn't that how we feel about these government employees?
By the way, I would like to ask Van Dyke several questions about the new version of his old work called The New Weapons of War, the War After Next. It's written by the same concept that was in secret and suppressed by Feral Press. And I have to, the NASA one that comes out now on transhumanism is, we are, like, this Elon Musk is selling us down the road. Why? They want that asteroid. They want to go out and mine it, and they can't because you can't send an astronaut out there. How do you do it? It's all about money.
No problem. Lasso it and suck it right into the planet.
Oh, yeah. There you go. We'll call it the 26,000-year epoch. How's that sound to you?
That sounds pretty frightening.
Yeah. That's why it's about to happen, and everybody's running scared because nobody knows how it plays. It's not about control. It's about the moment and the journey.
If I may, Vincent?
Yes.
I have another guest that you might want to interview, Anthony Patch.
Oh, yes.
AnthonyPatch.com. This guy is putting out information on CERN, the Super Hadron Collider, and all the stuff that Doc's talking about. This guy is a wealth of knowledge. I think you would hit it off well with him. I think if you check out, he's got several books, well, I don't know, a couple of books anyway, AnthonyPatch.com and AnthonyPatchAuthor.com. You're there, okay. Check him out. He's on.
And I've got his contact information. And so I was busy typing while you and Rick were talking a couple seconds ago. Email to Hartford, get him on, and I will do my best to get Anthony Patch on as well. And now, I haven't announced this, but I was pretty sick. I was very, very sick. And I kind of alluded to, I was coughing up blood for months. I'm coming back. My voice is coming back. They thought that I was going to die of lung cancer. That's not the case. I do not have cancer. Now you know. I was taken down by the chemtrails. There's no question in my mind. I really had a very, very serious lung infection. Very serious. And I ended up in the emergency room many times, hospitalized a couple times. And now I'm on the mend. I'm not back, but I'm on the mend. But I'm back enough to fight with the state. And I'm looking forward to it. My adrenaline is running. That's been running high. And I'm looking forward to this next confrontation and the settlement of this next confrontation with the state. I haven't had a good fight in a long time. And very rarely do the Finellis lose. Very rarely. Because we don't give up and we don't back up. Especially because we're right. And when we're attacked, we come out in defense. And we expose the criminal element. And that's what we're going to do again and again and again. Dave and the Thumb, thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it. Class, we're talking with Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Rick, you mentioned chemtrails. I mentioned that they nearly killed me. Rick, what is going on in the latest with these chemical sprayings by and who's doing it? Why are we doing it? What is the alleged perceived
the
benefit?
Newest hot flash is that it is a new weapon to protect and serve and protect us from nuclear war. Now, how it works, stay tuned. I watched a video of two chemtrails laid down next to each other, and all of a sudden, they ignited, and there was a plasma, and I got a video of it, moving back and forth from one chemtrail to the other, walking right on down the line. And imagine a network laid out with an incoming nuclear weapon. What happens next?
Rick, I was reading...
That's an interesting one. I need to say one thing, but by the way, Grace is going to come, hi Grace, to visit Julie, and we're all excited, and I just wanted to let her know. Unfortunately, like all of us, we're in the jailhouse now. none of us have any money. It's like that across America, done orchestratedly, and then they come in with Agenda 21, and Yoda then says, "My gun you may have. After I give you my bullets, I will." And that's Kucinich being president of the Midwest. And we will provincialize, and that is possibly the plan, because it's easier to control a bunch of small countries than it is one giant octopus that's the biggest bully in the world, in world history, even over Rome.
And our CEO now wants to expand the military and make it even a bigger bully.
Well, there you go, just like in the movies. Because war is good. Oh, no, that's Gecko. Greed is good.
Yeah, I tried to watch part of it. He was so filthy. His language was so despicable. It was impossible. But however, to the credit of the movie, I'll bet you those Wall Street types are just like that. I bet they actually behave like
House of
that.
Cards. Watch it. Check it out. That's the way it works.
That's a documentary. It's a documentary.
Imagine that.
House of Cards is a documentary on how government works, how corrupt government works. I much preferred him
when he played K-Pax myself, but it's all in good humor, good fun.
Rick, I'm concerned about the media talking about electromagnetic pulses. There was a post that's saying EMP nonsense. It's not going to take out any electronics. It's nonsense. That's not going to happen. You don't have to worry about.
Stein did that first, and the Santa Barbara takedown was some military friends of mine that tried to wake up everybody by how easy it's done by just a small organized terrorist group. There you go, and you're back to the Stone Age.
Rick, let me share something with you. Now, I'm not advocating this, and please do not take this wrong, class. And there are people in the government who are going to say that I'm advocating. It's not. I'm not. But I ran for the board of directors of a local electric cooperative, and they had these people giving speeches as to why we should vote for them. I ran against a gal who was an associate at Walmart. The committee to select those candidates who shall run for the board of directors selected this gal who's an associate. I'm talking about a cashier at Walmart. That's who I was running against. That was one of the candidates. And obviously, they put her up to it so that she would be overrun by the incumbent. And I was like the dark horse. So I was the guy that got nominated by the members. I went around and said, hey, would you sign this petition and nominate me? And I got enough signatures to run for the board. So I was on stage, and it was my turn to give my 2-minute presentation. They said I could talk as long as I want. Then they said, well, no, maybe a minute. And they really wanted to shut me down. So what I did, the guys before me would say, well, thank you very much. I was raised up here, and my mom was born here, and you vote for me? Thanks so much. And that guy won. And I took a 223 out of my pocket, and I said, one of these going through the bottom of a transformer to drain the oil out of it will shut down a substation. And we don't have any spare transformers. Just one of these. And I confirmed that with an engineer.
CenturyLink, when that limb fell down on the transformer down.
Rick Miller's with us. RickDocRam.com. So, class, if you'd like to peruse and buy some of his books, support his efforts, DocRam.com. Rick, do you have any specials that we need to know about?
I can tell you that my website has been hacked and I don't know why I'm not getting feedback from anybody. I mean, people aren't saying, well, I tried to go in and order something. We're missing, just yesterday, 22 orders. Do you know what that's done to me personally? Not even talking about physically, money and income and stress. Just not knowing, like Amazon, what actually happened.
Rick, how do we resolve this? Do you want people to call you and say, I'd like to buy you a book, here's my credit card number?
Go to my website,
do it over the phone?
Trouble, they call me and ask me why. So at least I have some feedback in knowing that something's wrong with my website. Oh, wait. Then it'll go with Amazon. Oh, wait. Then it will go with my mail. Something out there is with intent taking me out. And Mike Harris, a friend of mine, called me yesterday and said it's happening to a group of his friends, to include him. And he was a treasurer for the Republican Party. He ran for governor, and he's like being systematically taken out. And that's because how they do this is there's so many different false flags, you don't know which one to do first and which one's real and which one's a blind lead and doesn't mean anything. And yesterday, a friend of mine, I've known her a while, she called and told me, she gave me a couple of names, and then I started to see the dots. And you don't know who is who, because even the ones that are not your friends are going to glad at you. Oh, yeah. And so I'm here in a place that I don't know. And why didn't this person call me back? Why didn't that person call me back? I asked them to call me. Well, I can tell you why. Nobody wants to be around me when I'm getting under stress. I'm terrible. And it takes a lot to take me out, and I am being systematically to the point that I'm at wits end. It'll be nice to take a break, have Grace come and visit. I've got a story for her. I taught, this is a true story about Navy SEALs, the boogeyman. That's what you could be, is the boogeyman. The boogeyman is the one where you never see him coming. And the way I did it is training SEALs. I turned the lights out, and everybody started falling. Why? I went to my back and laid on the ground because nobody has a defense going upward, and I did my best fighting when I was down on my back trying to defend myself. Boogeyman. Always remember that story. Do the unexpected. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, they never saw it coming. And that's what's going to happen next. I am so tired of this. I'm going to go back to my old school and the way I used to do it.
Rick, Rick, as you were saying this, I was thinking about the microwave discussion, the use of microwaves to target us. Now, I don't know anybody, literally, I don't know anybody who said, geez, if I could, I could just build a microwave oven. I could get a microwave, a microwave weapon. I could take a 1,300 watt microwave.
Yeah, microwave oven and some ring gutter guys. You can cause trouble.
Take it apart, use the power supply and the magnet. They're out there. But what I'm saying is, I don't know anybody who said, let's get one. Let's aim these at people. I don't know anybody who's done that. However,
get hairy.
The government. These guys ride around in these patrol cars, and they have these handheld, trigger-operated, battery-powered off the car battery radar detectors, which are they are microwave guns. They're aiming them at people.
All of it is taking us down one chromosome at a time.
But what I'm saying is these people are aiming these weapons at us. These cops, these uniformed blue thugs, the blue plague, they're riding around with these microwave devices. They're aiming them as they travel. They've got them forward facing, rear facing. They're behind you, and they are cooking you as you're driving in your car because they're behind you. Now, what do you do when you've got one of these cops doing that to you? You pull to the left and go, what? Wait a minute. Why that guy pulled to the left? Obviously, he's hiding something. Let's pull him over. Now you're stuck. You're stuck, and they're now blasting you while they're checking you out on the side of the road. I mean, it's like a no-win situation. Do you get out of your car? You get out of your car, you get shot. You stay in your car, you might get shot. You might get tased in your car. I mean, these things have happened. These guys are out of control, and they're the minions. They are so ill-informed that they're doing this to be in the contest so they can win the ticket giver of the month. That's what they're doing. So who respects the police? I don't know anybody who respects the police. And I keep hearing
a long time ago where, like, my girlfriend Shealy comes from L.A., where the citizens in a given region wouldn't tolerate that kind of nonsense. It's more prevalent in rural situations where you and I live. That's Bubba and the Good Old Boy Network and extortion and all of it.
Our sheriff's name is Bubba.
Of course it is.
I got a calendar with Bubba on it, and it says Sheriff Glenn, and then for a middle name, quote unquote, Bubba Adler. Sheriff Bubba
just like
Adler.
The snake. Yeah.
Well, I called him up. I called him up because one of his deputies showed up at our house one day, riding around, checking us out, midnight. I called him up the next day during the bottom of the hour, first hour break, and I called him and I told him, don't come on our property. Don't send your deputies. Do not trespass on the Finelli farm. We don't want you here.
And yet, within that mess, there's always somebody trying to do the right thing without direction. I have a good friend.
But it's few and far between. And Rick, I keep hearing these stories. Right. People call me and say, there's so many good cops. Really? Can you show me one?
Yeah,
please? I believe that people who enter the police force, some of them start out with good intentions. I really believe that.
Oh, yeah.
But I believe by the time they're done being programmed by the Blue Plague et al., that they become part of the machine. And if you want to see it, class, just watch Blue Bloods on Netflix. It's available right now. Tom Selleck is highlighted as the main character. He's not the most prevalent character, but his Danny plays his son, and he's a detective. And this guy's out of control, beats people up, yells, screams. He is your typical detective's detective. He's your typical cop's cop. He's in control. He is out of control. Who'd want to live with somebody like that? And they portray him as a guy who wants to do the right thing. But he pushes a limit. He crosses the line. He breaks the law, all in the name of keeping everybody safe. And that's what your government is doing. It's out of control. It's out of control. So we need to, in the state of Missouri, we need to get rid of every single one of our elected representatives. Everyone needs to go. Why? Because they're allowing this nonstop, out of control taxation. They're allowing these computer systems that monitor and surveil us. They are allowing the highway patrol to do its thing. They are allowing the cheese graters to be put up along the highways and byways that prevent us from getting out of the way of harm. So when there's a massive crash in front, you're going to be part of it because you can't stop. The guy's going to run into you behind you and the guy behind him, and it's going to be a massive pileup, and there's no escape. And who puts these things up? And we allow this. We got to stop it. These guys have all got to go. Top to bottom, need to clean house. Every single one. And I don't care whether they're elected or not, because they're not representing our interests. They're representing their own interests.
Budgets, needs, money.
Yeah.
The jailing system and their phone services is outrageous.
You're talking about CenturyTel?
I'm talking about California, when a friend of mine wants to make a call to me, and how they half his phone call is them, and you can use us at any time. You know, it's all crazy. It just puts the dot on the I.
Rick, what we're seeing is we are becoming more and more dependent on technology.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people now who are so dependent on their cell phones that they're trapped. And when the cell phone doesn't work, their business gets shut down. And here's people have been conned into thinking, well, I have a landline, okay? Landline is up like 99.99997% of the time, literally.
That's Three Sigma, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works beautifully. Okay? It's old technology, and it just works. However, there are so many people who have been duped into thinking that they can get rid of their landline because for $40 a month, they can make all the calls they want on their cell phone. They can kill themselves, give themselves brain cancer with their cell phone, but it's so convenient, and they can take it with them, that they're willing to get rid of their landline. I got to tell you.
California has now approved a law to allow the 5 gigahertz cell tower to be in your neighborhood. I cannot urge anybody more strongly in terms of the LD50 ratio that represents. 4 megahertz is not as bad as 5, and they've just bumped it up.
The greater,
Rick,
correct.
3/4 of the Earth has to die in the next 2 years, according, again, to Kurzweil and the transhuman movement.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but I believe I'm 100% accurate in this, that the higher the frequency, the greater the transmission data capability. So the higher the frequency, the more bits can be fit, digital bits can be fit in that transmission. So lower frequencies.
Heterodyne. And the thing is, there's LD50 ratios and bandwidth with all your different organs. And the brain has organs like your temporal and frontal lobes, the sacs of fluid that get heated up and ring. That's how it works.
And class, you want proof? Go take a cup of water. Put it in your microwave oven. Set it for 60 seconds and see if it gets hot at 1,000 watts. Okay, tell you what. Go take your cell phone, stick it next to your ear, which is next to a bucket of water, right? And talk on it for an hour. See if you get dizzy. We'll be right back. Class, I just got off the phone with Hartford Van Dyke, And he's going to come on the air with us.
Oh, good for you. Nice going.
Well,
You're
you know,
such a shaker rattler. Shake those bones.
You know, I really appreciate these commercial announcements, because I pick up the phone, here I am, boom, I bang out a whole bunch of things. And so I try to be really productive, you know, during the 2 hours that I'm in the studio. And so I just got off the phone with Hartford, and he said, yeah, Finelli, yeah. He remembers me. So I'm all excited.
How could anyone forget you?
Well, I'll tell you what, the state of Missouri is not going to forget me. That is for sure.
Whining.
So Rick, these microwaves, what kind of stuff? Let's just, for those who are new to this broadcast, when they aim these microwaves at us, and they can point them, and they're the government, so they feel they have a license to cook us at their will, literally cook us from afar, from near. What can they do to us? Just
okay, Beal. Dr. Beal, B-E-A-L, out of Florida, is possibly the foremost expert in medical a relationship of microwave and bandwidth to toxicity in various organs and the body itself. And his works are real explicit. And so there it is, Beal, B-E-A-L. Now, that will lead you to other universities. They already know this. And listen, no self-respecting alien would ever come down into this garbage soup. We are toxic beyond anything down here. You think our air is bad? It's not about the air. It's, man, that was already toast a long time ago. And it's about carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is good. It's what plants need to grow. So there it is. We have been sold a bill of goods, technically, and microwave is just another niche in the loss of that chromosome and the change of our planet for some other life form, not a human. We're being terraformed just like in the movies, right in front of our eyes, and we don't have a clue because we're all dreaming the American dream.
Okay, so when that cop aims that microwave gun
to
detect our speed, yeah.
Yep.
So I think the answer is, hey, mind if I'd love to see that. I'll tell you what, stand right there, and walk 20 feet forward, and then turn around. And I just want to measure your speed. I'm just going to aim this radar gun at you for the half hour that I track your speed.
And have the judge be the mitigator. See how that plays.
No cop would allow that, because the cops are smart enough to realize that these things are dangerous.
Something's wrong here, yeah.
However, they're willing to aim them at us.
Oh, yeah. And that light that they put on their vehicles now, and their tactics of they don't comment why they pulled you over, the license and registration, please. Will you step out of the car, please?
Yeah, or don't step out of the car.
I'd like to see your hands, please. Put them on the driver's wheel. The whole thing is a litany of intimidation right out of the gate. And the smaller ones have the bigger pistols, just like in the movies.
And you have to wonder why people do not respect them. And yet they think that because they put that uniform on, that you owe them respect. Actually, the only thing that we have for them is fear, because they've got a gun. And we've been taught, you don't shoot people. It's not polite to shoot people. They're taught, listen, shoot first, because, well, guys, you all want to go home tonight to your families. So make sure that if that little old lady seems to be threatening you, you shoot her. And there's a story about this one.
Vincent, is you're going to cost them money by being hassled. Most of us would have been a lot cheaper to be paid off, put on payroll, and allowed to live a simple life. And I'm going to make it expensive for the people that did this to me.
Me too.
Make it expensive. It's more trouble than it's worth, and watch what happens next. And it's called Spell of Invisibility, Low Profile. I was trying to write. I wasn't trying to change the earth. That's not my mission.
Yep. I just want to be left alone. But they won't leave me alone.
Trying to be a sweet old man.
Yep. And you are.
Oh, stop it! The old part. That's true.
Hey, Rick. I meant sweet. Rick, thanks so much for being with us and spending 2 of your hours with us here at USA Prepares.